I'm back. Road Rants on Joe Rogan. As you know, we've done some videos on this channel on Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan a lot. There's a lot of things I identify with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is getting dangerously close to walking away, it seems. Hashtag walking away. Okay, I contend that Joe Rogan's actually more of a libertarian, but there will be people that come through this video and be like, he loves Bernie Sanders. Yes, he likes Bernie Sanders on a personal level. I have seen that interview 3 or 4 times. He is not, quote-unquote, endorsing Bernie Sanders. It drives me nuts. Joe Rogan made this statement on his podcast, JRE Experience, the other day. I think it's the largest podcast in the world. If it's not, hell, it should be. Joe Rogan says he might move to Texas if the coronavirus restrictions continue. Quote, I don't need to be here. Interesting. A lot of people feel that way. Comedian and mixed martial artist commentator Joe Rogan has suggested he could move from California to Texas, in part due to coronavirus restrictions. Rogan 52, who spearheads the massively popular Joe Rogan Experience podcast on YouTube, has indicated his operation could shift to the Lone Star State for several reasons, including the high cost of living on the West Coast. The host spoke after Elon Musk, who recently appeared on as a guest on the show, teased he could move the Tesla production to Texas amid the argument that Alameda County officials regarding the reopening of his Fremont car manufacturing plant. Quote, I might move to Texas. If California continues to be this restrictive, I don't know if this is a good place to live. First of all, it's extremely expensive. The taxes are ridiculous, Rogan said, speaking in a segment which aired May 13th. And if they really say that we can't do stand-up until 2022 or some shit like that, I might jet. I'm not kidding. This is silly. I don't need to be here. They were reacting to the news that some regions of California may stay under stay-at-home orders for months. Texas, meanwhile, moved to reopen its economy by loosening its lockdown starting in May. Some venues are starting to reopen, albeit limited crowds. Quote, I like Austin a lot. I like Dallas a lot. I like Houston a lot. Rogan added about some possible locations. I don't know if I could live in Houston. The summer is a motherfucker. Texas Representative Dan Crenshaw, also a former guest on the podcast, responded to Rogan's musings about a move after the comments were covered by Barstool Sports. He said, Texas is going to be even more awesome if it's even possible. Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, anyone else? ? Texas is open for business for freedom-loving Americans. His Twitter comment attracted tens of thousands of likes and shares. Look, there's speculation that certain parts of California may ride this thing out in lockdown into 2021. Are you joking? As they look to completely fire and shit can their economy out there, worse than it already has. It's getting ridiculous out that way. Now, I said the other day in a video I made, I know a ton of people from California. Why? Because they all left California for Texas. They got tired of extreme left-wing politics. Look, I have voted on both sides of the aisle. I have, okay? Obama, Trump, I've run the gamut, okay? I don't necessarily follow a party line. I follow a candidate. Although, I can tell you this, I will probably never go back to voting left again. I can honestly say that. Now, people will swear up and down that he is not. I think Joe Rogan is more libertarian than people like to, which generally speaking is more leaning right, okay? There are just certain values that he holds dear to himself that align to that side of the aisle, the right side, the more right side of the aisle. Okay? It is utterly ridiculous what they're doing with these restrictions in some of these states, Michigan, California, and look, here's the issue. They're not doing it for health-related reasons. They're doing it as a direct protest, kind of the same shit Hollywood is doing towards our president, Donald Trump, because Donald Trump wants to get the economy going again and wants to reopen the country. Look, the economy has to get going. I've got people on Facebook that talk about, we need to stay in lockdown, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to take a flamethrower to this country? Because that's what's going to happen if you don't reopen. There's going to be plenty of deaths, too. Heart attacks, strokes, suicides, depression. I can tell you it's drove me fucking batty. And Joe Rogan is saying enough is possibly enough with him, right? There goes a cat. I'm not editing that out. He's saying enough is enough. It's bullshit. Okay? I'm not going to be told to that extent what to do. And in Texas, we won't do that. Okay? We respect your liberties and your freedoms here. We do. What happens with these lockdowns is you're invading people's personal bubbles. Get the fuck out of our bubbles. Okay? That's the problem. And Joe Rogan's saying, get the fuck out of my bubble. I get that. Look, they're finding more and more reasons why this lockdown in general was a mistake. They're starting to find out now that states marked other health-related deaths as coronavirus, and they weren't coronavirus-related. Or the person had the coronavirus, but the coronavirus wasn't what killed them. For example, one guy died of alcohol poisoning, and they marked it as a COVID-19 death because he happened to test positive for it. Okay, so that has skewed the numbers. They're now finding out that the UK model that they use to make decisions based on the lockdown was completely faulty. And that every time that they use different methods to run the numbers all came back wildly different all the time. So, now that we've become more educated about this thing and people have gotten smart about social distancing and all that, it's time to get back to life, and that's what Joe Rogan is saying. Let's get the fuck back to life. Okay? We got to get out of the house. We got to work. By and large, people in this country want to work. We want to bust our ass. We want to get after it. We want to earn what we do. Joe Rogan, by the way, Austin, Dallas, Houston are all equally hot as a motherfucker in the summer. I'm letting you know that right now, so I would recommend that you could move to any... Personally, I wouldn't move to Austin because it's going to be a lot more like California. Granbury, Texas. It's a small town about 35 minutes south of Fort Worth, and sometimes it's not as humid out there. It's really beautiful scenery. Look, house prices, Joe Rogan, in Texas. A house that cost you $5 million in California might be $1 million here, okay? Or $2 million in California might be $250,000 here. We're talking about a hell of a nice crib in Texas for $250,000, especially if you get out in more rural areas. Considering he does YouTube and can essentially be self-sustained from his own studio, there's no way I'd move to the big city. I'd move an hour out of one of these big cities, and then if you got to go do stand-up, drive into town. You know, drive into town, spend the night in there, and then head out because you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. Tell me what you think, Rhodes Squadron. Joe Rogan, he makes a hell of a lot of sense these days. He always has, but he's just getting more and more on top of his game. Peace. I'm out. Till next time. King Kong in the